Hey guys, it's Maggie. So today I'm here with Andrew.
Hello Maggie's fans, subscribers.
And Andrew is the co-founder of Boba Guys. We are currently at Boba Guys right now. So for today's video, we're just gonna be having like deep conversation. We're gonna be answering deep questions together while drinking boba. So we're actually gonna be playing the card game We're Not Really Strangers. Yeah, we'll be playing We're Not Really Strangers, the normal edition, and I recently got the self-love edition too.
10 order.
Oh, okay, yes. So I will be ordering.
So we are technically closed, but for Maggie and for this deep conversation, I'm gonna reopen and reboot the system.
Okay, awesome.
So what would you like? This is atypical.
Okay. What would you recommend?
I would say this is a late night chat, so less caffeine, so maybe the black sugar hoodie chat. Maybe like a berry hibiscus. That's probably what I'm gonna get.
The berry hibiscus.
Maybe a little bit of caffeine. I like the hill on my top.
What do you think about the strawberry jasmine?
Oh yeah, that's our very popular. That's that's like our third most popular.
Okay, I will get the strawberry jasmine.
With boba?
Yes.
Okay.
I think there's like a very, very strong danger of like putting people on a pedestal or like having like a mental hierarchy. Like I feel like, I don't know if this is related, but it's like the idea that like someone successful is like better than you. Like I feel like that's like everyone's equal, you know, everyone has equal worth, and someone's success does not mean that they have higher value than you. Like I don't think like people have like like everyone's value or worth or whatever is the same. Like you're born with that worth and it does not fluctuate based on like whatever you achieve or like whatever you do.
If you ever see us eat, he and I, we don't like fancy meals. Even our clothes is all like a lot of stuff like sponsored or, you know, despite what the internet thinks sometimes is like every dollar we make, we've always really invested in Boba Guys. It's how we've done it. Did I have to go through all that pain to get that lesson? Did I have to go through all that suffering to be who I am now? Did I have to?
I feel like. So now we're on to part 2. So we're gonna be playing the We're Not Really Strangers self-love edition, and like from my experience, this game is a little bit deeper than like the first one.
What gave you a sense of achievement recently? I was teaching every semester for the last 4 or 5 semesters. I've been kind of doing this mini talk at Berkeley, where I went as an undergrad, and there's a professor who brings me back, Professor Alan Ross, as part of his like reoccurring guest speakers. So, I mean, I generally know how my talk and Q&A sessions go because I've done it 4 times. But this one in particular, this was just like a week and a half ago. Like, I got a lot of great feedback and emails. And some of the emails that I got were like, best speaker I've ever heard at Cal by far.
That's so nice.
So inspiring. Yeah, and I was like, cool. And not to sound like, usually guest speakers are like, okay, well, you're asked to speak because you're at a certain caliber. But even then, you know, like for people to say that, I was like, oh, that really warmed me up, because there are days where I'm like, I mean, I have to say this, my team, I have like almost like 400 plus people. In the summer, I have like up to 500 team members. Not everybody likes listening to you. It's like listening to your parents. Like, oh, there's the CEO.
Team members like of Boba Guys?
Yeah, Boba Guys, yeah. Yeah, we call them team members, like employees. I just think that's a weird word. And so, you know, it's like listening to your parents. They don't want to listen to me. And I'm like, but I have so much like things to answer your questions about college, but they don't want to listen to that sometimes. And so when people actually do, you're like, you do? You want to listen to me talk for like 45 minutes? I thought that was really fun. And then you get good feedback. All right. I felt like maybe I did something okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about you?
Yeah, that's really great. I think for me, it's probably learning to love myself more, as in like, I think I really dug deeper into like the like insecurities that you're not really aware of. Like I think I dove very deep into my own mind, and I like found kind of like my subconscious like insecurities, and it's like just learning to embrace all these different parts of myself, and just learning more about myself and how like my mind works. And just learning to like love all those aspects and like be kinder to yourself and take care of your health and everything. So yeah, I think that's like something I'm proud of. What came easily to you as a child?
I alluded to this earlier. What didn't come to me was like I didn't read well or speak well. My mom says that I didn't actually say my first word or complete sentence until I was 2, which apparently is really late. But once I started speaking, my mom and my grandma, who took care of me, kind of raised me, and said that I was like a really good like storyteller. And so there's this one story they always tell me is like, we were taking one of those Chinese Asian tour buses from where we grew up in New Jersey, but it left from like Queens, New York, and it was driving down to Florida or Virginia. I think it was Florida because I think I remember pictures of like Epcot Center. And so there's a picture in which I'm like one of the few kids on the tour bus, in which I get on the mic and I start telling stories to the whole bus. I don't remember this, I swear. But my grandma and my mom both tell me this story where you're like 3 years old and you're like, and then you're like singing a random song that you knew and you're like entertainment for like half an hour, supposedly. So, so I was like, oh, I guess I am very both extroverted and like a talker.
Yeah, actually, like when I was in elementary school, I was really, really loud, and like it would seem like I was really extroverted because I had no filter. I would talk all the time and just like, yeah, I was like super loud and annoying when I was in elementary school. I feel like when you're a child, it's like you're like super, super authentic to the point at which you're not even like aware of societal, like even like things that are like respectful. Like I think societal norms, like a lot of them can be harmful, but some of them are like they have a purpose. Like for instance, to be like polite and not rude, like not to like hurt people's feelings. Like those basics, there's a reason for that. Like you want to be kind, and that's like a good thing. I think like growing up is kind of like trying to maintain your authenticity amidst the societal norms that are there. Like learning to navigate yourself authentically, like within this like world. It's like playing the game in your own way, kind of. Wait, what's my answer to the question? What was the question? It was
what were you good at when you were young?
Oh yeah.
Basically.
I think active things like sports. Like I think I tried like a lot of sports and like things like gymnastic stuff and like stuff like that. I would like be doing like cartwheels around the living room, and like I think I did ice skating when I was really young, and I did that for a few years.
What do you consider yours?
What? That's like a very abstract question.
Yeah.
What do you consider yours? I feel like I should drink some boba.
Yeah, I'm not drinking boba because this would be my like fourth drink. If you're wondering why I'm not drinking my own company's labeled cup, is that we have a bunch of these cups that we have, and I don't want to throw away cups. So I have our team, when you're drinking it for yourself, we drink out of these unlabeled cups. So we're basically trying to be sustainable, just a heads up. Okay, so the question is yours?
Oh, yeah, what is yours? I think you just like interpret it in your own way.
Well, mine's gonna be easy. I don't really think much is mine. If you kind of know my philosophy, and my co-founder actually, very similar. We're both what they call ascetics. Like we like we deny
asceticism.
Yeah.
It's like is it like living very simply and like
he actually, my co-founder is even more extreme. This is to this day, I was with him this morning. He can have everything he owns. He has a kid now, and he has a family, but everything he owns on his side, I think even with his family, is on a spreadsheet. That's how condensed he is. And I admire that. But he and I both don't believe in material things. That's why we probably started Boba Guys. But if it fits on a spreadsheet, which I know mine can't, that's pretty minimal. Like
yeah, that is
everything. He can name every jacket he has, every shirt he has. Like he doesn't have much like CDs and like. So I look up to him in that way because he and I both started Boba Guys, not wanting material things. This is why we were able to start Boba Guys because
sure.
people were like, we started with like $40,000-$50,000 of our own money. And we've never fundraised, but at the time, the first store after the pop-up was our own money. And for me, it was instead of buying a car, for him too, we were like, well, we don't need cars. We'll just bus around the city. Let's try this thing, Boba Guys. And that's what we did. And so we had always, to this day, have always bonded. If you ever see us eat, he and I, we don't like fancy meals. Even our clothes is all like a lot of stuff like sponsored or, despite what the internet thinks sometimes, is like every dollar we make, we've always really invested in Boba Guys. It's how we've done it homegrown this whole time. We like that autonomy. So anyways, I don't really consider much mine because I don't really have like ownership. Like I don't own the stores. I share that with people. I don't own like even my ideas are not mine. My ideas are just a function of a bunch of ideas that I got from other people. And I'm just combining them all. I think I'm assembling them all. So people are like, people will always ask, Andrew, this company, this brand copied you. Is that okay? They copied you. I'm like, I don't know. Like, we were technically inspired by Blue Bottle and Phil's Coffee. So you're like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, because I will always tell you my inspiration. And so in many ways, if somebody's like inspired by us, as long as they kind of like say, oh, they're one of the inspirations for our company, then I will be like, yeah, it's not really mine, because I'm just a product of kind of this larger organic set of ideas anyways.
Yeah. How I would answer.
So maybe that wasn't a short answer, I guess.
Oh no, that's
your
good.
answer. So what is yours?
I think I would say like my heart and like love. Like it's like a very abstract concept of like, I guess it's kind of already explained. Like even like love you give, I guess you give. Like I don't know. What's mine? I think maybe my authentic energy, like the energy that's authentic to me, and yeah, like my heart, like what I like. Not what I love, but like, I don't know if love is yours, but I guess like some love is yours, I guess, yeah. I feel like it's like a hard question to answer.
Oh, this is a good one.
If you could ask your future self one question, what would it be? I actually don't know if I will I feel like life is just like living through each moment and like doing the best at each moment. I think we talked about this yesterday, like living through your core values at each moment. So I don't know, like would I have anything to ask my future self? I don't know if I would have really anything to ask.
Mine is also because I'm at the age where I'm starting to think a lot about, like, I wouldn't say first half of my life, but roughly like first half of my life. And I think the question that keeps on coming up is like, did I have to learn certain things the hard way? Was there another way? Okay. So if I'm talking to my future self, I'm like, did I have to go through all that pain to get that lesson? Did I have to go through all that suffering to be who I am now? Did I have to?
I feel like it would be yes. Like I feel like specific suffering, probably. Like it's like you can't find it any other way besides like the really bad suffering you had to go through, Like there's like, I feel like there's value in suffering.
Well, I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, well then I would just want to hear my future self say that. I'd rather, maybe I know the answer, theoretically, but if I heard myself at like, right before I'm like, hopefully I live to 100, and I ask myself at 100, hey, when I went through this with my company, this in my personal life, did I have to go through that lesson? Do you think there was another way? And then I think my future self would probably say, well, remember that lesson led to this, which may help you change in this way, And so yes, who you are ultimately, unless you hate who you became, like who you are is a product of all of those issues that you kind of had like second thoughts about. So then I'll be like, all right, at least I'll feel better.
Unless you hate who you become.
Well, I think that's true. I think I'm always, we talked about this a couple days ago before this interview, is that I'm a little neurotic, and I think about things from a lot of different perspectives in real time, which is good for business because I'm very calculated, I'm very strategic, but in personal life, it helps, it does make you overthink. So it is like, yeah, they would call it neurotic or overly analytical. But I think, I hate to say this, and I'm not thinking about anybody in particular, but I hope I can name a couple. Yeah, I can name at least several people in my life that, as we all got older, went down darker paths that I think...
Like immoral or like harder?
Both. You just have the whole gamut. You're gonna know 10,000 people. You're bound to know people who just went, a little off the rails.
You mean like immoral?
Immoral. Okay. I've known friends who took their own lives. I've like all that kind of stuff. So perhaps issues that they went through unresolved led to that. So I can't say that every bad thing that happens to me is for good, because they ended up kind of like.
No, yeah, completely.
So hopefully this is you should put a trigger warning. Is but you want real talk? I'm giving you like real talk. At my age, I've seen everything. I've lost. You know, some people know who they are, like famous founders. A lot of founders have a lot of mental health issues because, you know, I hope this is not in your card deck, but you know, your content goes this way, so I'll kind of say to your audience who might expect this topic is that when you start a company, anytime you are like what you call the number one, the tip of the spear, you will always be blunted. People will build you up, but they will also tear you down. And usually it's the people at the forefront. It's you build up a influencer, a celebrity, a founder. So many people will help build them up. But then when you're kind of in that kind of success, they think you become inhuman. And so anything you say, if I said something, 95% of the time, they will say, that's punching down. If I was just a normal person, I'd be like, I'm just giving you feedback. Yeah. I'm just telling you, you need to do this better. Yeah. But to them, they're like, no. Like, you're punching down. You can't say that because of your position of authority.
Punching down, you mean like
it's
like being.
They think it's like it's an expression that's like condescending slash like bullying.
Yeah.
But it's not.
So I just wanted to like clarify like an earlier point. Just like just to clarify what I meant by like us like going through suffering. It like builds your character, and like you can't reach that like higher level of like enlightenment or whatever like without the suffering. Like I don't mean like all suffering is good. Like bad things happening to people is not justified ever. Like, but it's like, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying like if we were to specifically look at our like individual pasts, like the suffering that we went through could have developed us further as like people, and like further like helped us become better versions of ourselves, even though that's not necessarily the case. I'm saying like there are some like extreme examples, but I'm saying like suffering, like that's like, I guess like some suffering will help us become better people, but
I think everybody needs to suffer.
Yeah.
That is how the human race survives.
Yeah, and I think like on social media I've seen it's like, oh, like don't say like my trauma made me stronger, like my trauma made me like more scared, like broken in like many pieces, and it's like
they say that?
Yeah, they say like sometimes like it's not all about the growth. Sometimes it really does break you down, and no one deserves that pain. And it's valid to say sometimes it made you weaker just because of how painful that experience was, and that's like not invalid. Also, to respond to your, what was your, okay, I was gonna say like, you were saying how like people think you're like talking down to them, right? Or like punching down or whatever. I feel like.
Not many, by the way. It's a very small minority. Okay. I just want to clarify. So I just want the internet to be like, oh my God, like, you know, that happens all the time. Actually, it's not even me. I'm speaking for leaders in general. Like, because I mentor people and we all talk about this topic where I can't give legitimate feedback because they think a small minority, but usually a very vocal minority, they think it's coming from a place where it's like punching down. So we as leaders have to be extra careful and delicate around those people.
Yeah.
Those are the hard ones, right? The easy ones we don't even have to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, in terms of like, I think there's like a very, very strong danger of like putting people on a pedestal or like having like a mental hierarchy. Like I feel like, I don't know if this is related, but it's like the idea that like someone successful is like better than you. Like I feel like that's like everyone's equal, you know, everyone has equal worth, and someone's success does not mean that they have higher value than you. Like I don't think like people have like like everyone's value or worth or whatever is the same. Like you're born with that worth, and it does not fluctuate based on like whatever you achieve or like whatever you do. I
would agree, but I want to maybe make it that point and add something so it tightens it up. Is that I think what you're saying is I 100% agree. It also means that like people who see things as punching up, punching down, oppressor, like these weird binaries, just because you're in a position of leadership means anything you say is like condescending and punching down. That to me is a reflection of the person who perceives that, and they see the world as the hierarchy that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
for me, I actually don't.
I feel like a lot of people can like assume like people are like doing something for their own advantage or to gain something from it, like to form a relationship for their own advantage. And I feel like when people, like for me, I really don't like the idea of like, well, I don't like the term networking, as in I don't like the idea of like, because I feel like networking implies that you want to create relationships to gain something out of it, right? And I feel like for instance, like I remember one time I saw this girl and I complimented her. Like her assumption was like I was trying to flatter her to like gain something out of it. Like
You were just trying to compliment her.
yeah, I like if I
That's on her.
I compliment people like a lot.
I'm really glad that you asked, and I don't get to do too many of these, because a lot of stuff that I do is around business, but when I do my classes, as you kind of know, I teach, like the Q&A questions, a lot of them ask stuff that's kind of in this vein. They're like, how do you motivate people who are younger, who see the world differently? How do you navigate these really complex problems? In the CEO founder world, there's a lot of these, you can Google this, these sessions or whatever, they're called like masterminds. And it's usually like small business owners or founders and CEOs, like YPO, Young Presidents Organization, EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. There's a lot of these places where there's a bunch of people in the same roles in companies, and we all get together and we answer actually questions like this, but usually more direct examples, where in those environments is very, very close circle of trust, where we talk about, team members or employees, people say that do this, what would you do? But they're like really loyal, they've been there for 10 years, but they kind of like did this thing that was outside of the code of conduct. Those are those really hard decisions. Do you give them a pass, but you have zero tolerance according to your policies? So do you give them a second chance? Well, why do you give this person a second chance and not this one? That is really, really hard. And then the emotional labor that's tied to that. Nobody, right now, to be honest, gives a crap about how leaders think. They're like, oh, you're a leader, you're a position of authority. I always tell people, the true mark of like character and someone's motivation is, if you were in my shoes, would you make that same decision? And I've done this where certain people come at me super hot. They're like, why did you do this? And I replay the exact same data points that I have. And I say, what would you do in my position? And many times they come to the same conclusion.